There is a type of person everyone knows. They never say no. They always make themselves available. They smooth every conflict before it starts. They absorb tension so other people do not have to feel it. They give credit away and take blame onto themselves. They shrink in rooms where they should expand. Everyone likes them. Nobody respects them. And deep down, they know it. If you recognized yourself in any part of that description, this video is for you. Not to make you feel bad, not to turn you into someone you are not, but because Machiavelli identified this problem 500 years ago, named it precisely, and explained exactly why excessive niceness is not a virtue. It is a strategy, and it is a losing one. Today we are going to dismantle the mythology of niceness. We are going to look at what it actually signals to the world around you. We are going to look at what it costs you. And we are going to build the alternative. Not cruelty, not aggression, not performance. Something far more sustainable and far more powerful. Let's go. Part 1. Niceness is not what you think it is. Most people who are too nice believe they are being virtuous. They believe their accommodating nature is a form of generosity. Their conflict avoidance is a form of kindness. Their constant availability is a form of loyalty. Their agreement is a form of open-mindedness. Machiavelli would sit across from that person, look them in the eye, and tell them something they would not want to hear. What you are calling virtue is fear wearing a costume. Not always. Not in every situation. There are genuinely generous people, genuinely kind people, people whose warmth is real and earned and freely given. But there is a specific type of niceness, the compulsive kind, the kind that cannot be turned off, the kind that appears even when it should not. And that type is not generosity. It is conflict avoidance. It is approval seeking. It is the terror of being disliked dressed up as concern for others. And the world reads it, not consciously in most cases, but it reads it because human beings are extraordinarily sensitive to status signals. We evolved to be. And the person who cannot say no, who cannot hold a position, who reshapes themselves to match whoever they are talking to, that person is broadcasting a signal. The signal is, I need your approval more than I need my own position. And once that signal is in the room, everything changes. The way people speak to you changes. The offers you receive change. The assumptions people make about what they can ask of you change. The way your opinions are weighted in group decisions changes. You did not do anything wrong. You were just nice. But nice in a world that runs on perceived strength reads as low status. And low status is a tax that compounds. Part 2. What Machiavelli saw. Machiavelli spent 14 years advising the Florentine Republic. He watched leaders up close. He traveled to foreign courts. He studied Caesar Borgia, Pope Julius II, Francis I of France, men who built and held power in environments where any visible weakness was immediately exploited. And the pattern he observed was consistent enough that he built an entire framework around it. Leaders who prioritized being liked over being effective made the same class of errors repeatedly. They delayed necessary decisions because the decision would upset someone. They promoted the wrong people because the right people were harder to manage and would create friction. They conceded positions in negotiations to preserve the warmth of the room, not understanding that the room's warmth was worth nothing compared to the position they gave away. They failed to punish what needed to be punished, which taught everyone around them that the rules were optional. And eventually, always eventually, someone more decisive, more willing to be disliked, more grounded in what they actually wanted, replaced them. Machiavelli writes about this with a clarity that should make every chronically nice person pause. He says a prince who avoids making enemies by never taking positions ends up with no allies either. Because allies are built in the heat of commitment, they form around people who stand for something. They gather behind clarity, behind resolve, behind the person who is willing to make the call even when the call is hard. The nice person, in trying to offend no one, ends up meaning nothing to anyone. That is the paradox at the center of excessive niceness. You sacrifice your position to keep everyone happy, and in doing so, you become someone whose position is not worth protecting. Part 3, the specific ways niceness destroys you. Let's make this concrete. Because abstract philosophy does not change behavior. Specific patterns do? Here are the 5 ways excessive niceness costs you in real, measurable terms. The first cost. You attract the wrong people. There is a type of person who is specifically drawn to someone who cannot say no, who cannot hold a limit, who always has availability and always has generosity and always has forgiveness. That type of person is not drawn to you because of your value. They are drawn to you because of your access. You are not a person to them. You are a resource with no lock on the door. Machiavelli writes that a prince who is known for excessive generosity will be surrounded by people who want his generosity, not people who want his success. The moment the generosity runs out, they leave, and they have consumed resources that should have gone to building something real. Look at the people closest to you right now. Audit them the way Machiavelli would. Who among them would still be there if you became 50% less accommodating tomorrow? Those who remain, those are your real people. Everyone else is there for what you provide, not who you are. The second cost. Your opinions lose value. When you agree with everyone, your agreement means nothing. Think about this carefully. If a person always agrees, always says yes, always validates, always finds something positive to say, regardless of quality, then their yes is worthless. It carries no information. It tells you nothing about whether your idea is actually good. Now think about the person who is selective, who pushes back when something is wrong, who offers real critique, whose approval you have to work for. When that person says yes, it means something. It moves you. It matters. Machiavelli understood that influence is built on scarcity of approval, not abundance of it. Every time you give your approval away for free, to keep the peace, to make someone feel good, to avoid the discomfort of disagreement, you are devaluing your own currency. And you do it so consistently that people stop bringing you their real problems, their real ideas, their real work, because they already know what you will say. You will find something nice about it. The third cost, you become the default option for everything no one else wants to do. There is a quiet economy in every workplace, every family, every social group. Unpleasant tasks, inconvenient requests, difficult conversations. These things need to go somewhere. They move through the group like water, finding the path of least resistance. The person who cannot say no is that path, and it happens so gradually that you may not have noticed it. You are on every committee. You stay late most nights. You handle the logistics no one else handles. You are the one who checks in on difficult people, picks up extra work, covers for others, absorbs the overflow. Everyone appreciates you in the vague, thoughtless way people appreciate furniture that works well. They do not see a rising leader. They see someone reliable for the things no one else wants. And the tragedy is that your capacity, your real capacity, is being consumed by the low-value work that flows to you because you are the only one without a wall around your time. Machiavelli was precise about resource allocation. A prince who spends his treasury on things that do not build power has a smaller treasury and less power. The math is the same. Your time, your energy, your attention, these are your treasury. Every yes to something that does not serve you is a withdrawal from the account, and the account is finite. The fourth cost, you cannot be trusted with the hard call. This one is painful but important. When people are deciding who to elevate, who to promote, who to follow, who to trust with real responsibility, they are looking for someone who can make the hard call without collapsing. The chronically nice person is disqualified from that category, not through any formal decision, through accumulated evidence. People have watched you, they have seen how you handle tension, they have seen you smooth it over instead of resolving it. They have seen you defer when you should have decided. They have seen you agree when you privately disagreed. And they have filed that information quietly. They like you. They are comfortable around you. They will not give you the thing that requires someone who can be uncomfortable. Machiavelli writes that the qualities most admired in a prince during peace are not the same qualities that save him during crisis. And the question every room eventually asks, consciously or not, is not who is most pleasant. It is who will hold when things go wrong. The chronically nice person has not demonstrated that they can hold. because they have spent their entire career demonstrating that they prefer not to. The fifth cost. You resent the people you are trying to please. This is the one that nobody talks about, but everybody knows. The chronically nice person does not feel at peace. They feel tired. They feel invisible. They feel like they give everything and receive proportionally less. They wonder why, despite doing everything right, being helpful, being agreeable, being present, they still feel overlooked, still feel unappreciated, still feel like the person who matters least in rooms they have worked the hardest to maintain. And underneath all of that, they resent the people they have spent so much energy trying to please. Not openly. They are too nice for that. But the resentment is there, quiet and accumulated and growing. Machiavelli would not be surprised by this. He would say, "You built a prison and called it generosity, and now you are confused about why you feel imprisoned." The resentment is not a character flaw. It is the accurate emotional response to a system that is not working. The system is excessive niceness, and the resentment is your signal that it needs to change. Part 4. The alternative Machiavelli actually prescribed. Machiavelli does not tell you to become cruel. He does not tell you to become aggressive. He does not tell you to start treating people badly. He tells you to become strategic, grounded, clear. He tells you to become someone who knows what they want, knows what they will and will not accept, and operates from that clarity consistently, regardless of whether it makes every person in the room comfortable. There is a word for this that Machiavelli uses repeatedly: virtue. Not virtue in the moral sense. Virtue as in the active quality of someone who knows their purpose and acts in alignment with it. Someone who does not get blown off course by the need for approval. Someone who brings force and precision to what they are trying to build. That is the alternative. Not aggression. Clarity, not cruelty. Groundedness, not indifference. Discernment. Here is what that looks like in practice. Practice 1. Learn to occupy your position without apology. The chronically nice person shrinks. In conversations, they soften their opinions before delivering them. They add qualifiers. Maybe I think, I could be wrong, but not because they are genuinely uncertain, but because they have learned that certainty makes people uncomfortable, and they have decided that keeping people comfortable is more important than being clear. Stop. When you have a view, state it. Without the qualifiers, without the softening, without the pre-apology, not aggressively, just directly. The discomfort that follows belongs to the other person. It is theirs to manage. You are not responsible for regulating everyone else's emotional response to your clear communication. Machiavelli observed that the prince who states his position clearly, even a position others disagree with, commands more respect than the prince who hedges endlessly, because clarity signals confidence, and confidence signals someone worth following. Practice 2. Say no without explanation. This is one of the most difficult practices for the chronically nice person because they have learned that no requires justification, that if they say no without a sufficient reason, people will be upset, will push back, will think less of them. So they over-explain. They apologize for the no before delivering it. They soften it with alternatives. They make the no cost them 3 times what a simple no would have cost. Here is what Machiavelli would tell you. Explanation is a form of seeking permission for your decision. When you over-explain why you cannot do something, you are implicitly suggesting that if the other person finds your reason insufficient, you might reconsider. A no that requires justification is not a no. It is an opening position in a negotiation. A clean no, delivered calmly, warmly, without elaboration, is a complete sentence. It signals that your decisions are yours, that you do not require approval for them, that you respect the other person enough not to perform a whole production around a simple answer. Practice saying no without the paragraph after it. The world does not end, and you become someone whose yes is worth hearing. Practice 3. Allow conflict to exist without immediately resolving it. The chronically nice person is a conflict dissolver. The moment tension enters a room, they feel it, viscerally, physically, and they move to eliminate it. A joke, a concession, a change of subject, whatever it takes to return the room to warmth. This is a problem, because not all conflict should be resolved immediately. Some conflict contains information. Some tension is the necessary friction of people with different views working out what is actually true. Some disagreements are important enough that dissolving them prematurely means the real issue never gets addressed. Machiavelli writes that a prince who avoids all conflict does not achieve peace. He achieves suppression. The issues go underground. They accumulate. They surface later with far greater force than if they had been addressed when they were small. Your compulsion to smooth conflict is not helping the people around you. It is delaying their access to resolution. It is keeping genuine problems from being aired and solved. Let conflict breathe. You do not have to fix every tense room. You are allowed to sit in the discomfort and let the process complete itself. The tolerance for tension is a muscle. The chronically nice person has never trained it. Start small. Next time the room gets uncomfortable, pause before you move to fix it. Let 3 seconds pass, then 5. See what happens without your intervention. More often than you expect, something real will emerge. Practice 4. Hold positions under pressure. This is the most important practice on this list. The chronically nice person does not maintain positions. When they face pushback, when someone disagrees strongly, when someone expresses frustration, when someone simply repeats their opposing view more loudly, the nice person folds. Not because new information has come in, not because a better argument has been made, because the social pressure is uncomfortable, and they have decided at the level of reflex that social comfort is more important than being right. Machiavelli is explicit about this. He writes that the prince who changes positions based on pressure rather than based on logic and new information will never be trusted, because no one can know where he actually stands. His positions are not his own. They belong to whoever pushed most recently. The practice is to distinguish between 2 types of position change. Legitimate position change. You have heard a better argument, been presented with new facts, identified a real flaw in your original thinking. This is intellectual honesty. It is admirable. It should happen. Illegitimate position change. The other person got louder, seemed more upset, made you feel the social cost of disagreeing. This is capitulation. It is not honesty. It is the fear of disapproval executing a costume change and calling itself open-mindedness. Train yourself to notice which one is happening. When pressure arrives before you change your position, ask, has new information entered the room, or has only the emotional temperature risen? If the temperature rose and nothing new came in, hold. You are allowed to say, I hear you. I understand we see this differently. My view has not changed. And then stop talking. Part 5. The misunderstanding about strength. There is a version of this message that gets misread. People hear stop being so nice and they translate it as be hard, be cold, stop caring. That is not what Machiavelli taught, and it is not what this video is saying. The strongest leaders Machiavelli observed were not the coldest. They were the clearest. They had genuine warmth for the people who had earned it. They had genuine loyalty to the commitments they had made. They had genuine care for outcomes beyond their own immediate comfort. But that warmth was not extended blindly. That loyalty was not given to everyone. That care was not weaponized against themselves in the form of compulsive people-pleasing. The goal is not to care less. The goal is to care about the right things. Care about your actual values. Not about whether every person in every room is comfortable. Care about the quality of your work. Not about whether your honest assessment of someone else's work will create a moment of friction. Care about the people who have demonstrated they are worth caring about. Not about everyone who presents a need and relies on your inability to decline. Machiavelli calls this the difference between a prince who rules and a prince who serves. The prince who rules has a vision. He makes decisions in service of that vision. He maintains the capacity to act decisively because he has not given that capacity away to the management of other people's comfort. The prince who serves has no vision. He has only the management of whoever is in front of him. He is reactive, he is exhausted, and he is going nowhere. Because going somewhere requires choosing a direction and holding it even when people around you prefer you to remain still. Stop serving everyone's comfort. Start ruling your own life. Part 6. The identity underneath the niceness. Here is the deepest part of this conversation. For most chronically nice people, the niceness is not a strategy they consciously chose. It is an identity they unconsciously built. At some point, usually early, usually in response to an environment where being difficult or taking up space or expressing genuine opinion had a cost, they learned that being nice was safe, that the agreeable version of themselves received more warmth, got in less trouble, was easier for the adults around them, created less conflict, was loved more readily. And so they built a self around that strategy. They became the nice one, the easy one, the reliable one, the one who never causes problems. And by the time they are adults, the strategy has become invisible. They do not experience it as a choice. They experience it as who they are. This is what Machiavelli would call a prince who has forgotten that he chose his position. He has started to believe the position is permanent, natural, fixed. It is not. You chose this. Or more precisely, a younger version of you, operating with less information, chose this as the best available response to a situation that required adaptation. That version of you was not wrong. The choice made sense in its context, but the context has changed, and you are still running the old program. The work, and it is real work, slow work, discomfort-requiring work, is to start separating who you are from the strategy you adopted. You are not your agreeableness. You are not your availability. You are not your inability to disappoint people. Those are patterns. Patterns can be changed. The question underneath all of this is, who are you when you are not managing anyone else's experience of you? Start there. Answer that. Build from that. Because the person underneath the niceness, the one with actual opinions and actual limits and actual preferences, that person is worth knowing. And the world has been waiting for them to show up. Part 7. What changes when you change this? When you begin to operate from clarity instead of compulsive niceness, several things shift. Some of them are uncomfortable at first. People who benefited from your old patterns will push back. Some will be confused. Some will be hurt. Some will call you cold or selfish or changed. That is expected. That is the system resisting recalibration. Hold through it, because on the other side of that discomfort, something is waiting that the chronically nice person rarely gets to experience. Genuine respect. Not the comfortable, vague appreciation of someone who is useful. Genuine respect. The kind that comes from people watching you hold a position under pressure and noticing that you did not break. From people asking your opinion because they know it will be honest. From people knowing that when you say yes, you mean it, and when you say no, the no is real. Your relationships become fewer and better because the people who were only there for your unlimited access have found someone else to consume. And the people who stayed, who adjusted, who leaned in, are the ones who were actually there for you. Your work gets better because you are no longer spending 30% of your capacity managing everyone else's comfort. That capacity goes back to you, to your actual goals, to the things that matter. Your internal world gets quieter. The resentment that has been accumulating for years begins to drain because you are no longer building it. You are no longer giving past your own limit and then quietly cataloging the debt. You become someone different, not harder, clearer. And clarity, as Machiavelli spent an entire career demonstrating, is the beginning of every durable form of power. Closing. Machiavelli did not write The Prince to produce tyrants. He wrote it to produce effective leaders. People who saw clearly, decided deliberately, and acted with the kind of grounded resolve that makes things actually happen in the world as it is, not the world as we wish it were. The chronically nice person is not a bad person. They are a person whose strategy has stopped serving them. And a strategy that stops serving you is not a virtue. It is a habit. Habits can be broken. Start breaking this one. Not tomorrow. Not after you have figured out the perfect way to do it that will not upset anyone. Today, in the next conversation you have, with the next request that comes in that you already know you want to decline. Just say no, without the paragraph, and see what the world actually does. You will be surprised. The next video in this series covers exactly how Machiavelli built alliances, not through being liked, but through being indispensable. And the difference between those two things will change how you think about every professional relationship you have. If this video said something you needed to hear, share it with someone else who needs to hear it. Not to change them, because you know what it feels like to figure something out that you should have figured out earlier. Give them the shortcut. I will see you in the next one.